Hello and welcome to Plus TV Africa. I'm Lakwe Banjo with the news on the hour. President Muhammadu Buhari has apologised to the late Chief MKO Abiola's family and the families of all who lost their loved ones over the annulment of the June 12 presidential election in 1993. President Buhari made the apology on behalf of Nigeria and the federal government in his speech at the commemoration and the investiture marking the formal official federal government recognition of June 12 as National Democracy Day in Abuja. Buhari noted that the federal government's decision to recognise the late Chief Abiola and his running mate, Ambassador Babagana Kinigbe, as the winner of the June 12, 1993 election was not an attempt to open old wounds, but to put right a national wrong. The president acknowledged that the government of the day, led by Ibrahim Babangida, inexplicably cancelled the elections when it was clear who were going to be the winners. He said the national investiture, which was aimed at setting national healing process and reconciliation of the 25-year decaying wound caused by the annulment of the June 12 elections, will be henceforth breed positivity and national unity. The late Chief MKO Abiola, who the 1993 election ran on the platform of the Social Democratic Party. Meanwhile, Kola Abiola, first son of the late MKO, later received the posthumous Grand Commander of the Federal Republic Award conferred on his father's behalf. Abiola, it is agreed, paid the supreme price to usher in the democracy Nigerians enjoy today. President Buhari last week announced the award of the country's highest honour to Chief Abiola and also declared June 12 a public holiday. Honoured along with Abiola were his running mate, Ambassador Babagana Kinigbe, and late human rights lawyer and activist Chief Gani Fawehinmi, both of whom were awarded the Grand Commander of the Order of the Niger. Following proceedings at an FCT High Court today, former Plateau State Governor Joshua Dariye has been sentenced to 14 years in prison for misappropriation and criminal breach of trust. Justice Banjoko, the presiding judge, also ruled that all charges are to run concurrently without the option of the fine. Dariye, with a case for over 10 years, has been on trial on a 23-count charge of money laundering and diversion of the state's 1.6 billion naira ecological funds. He was arraigned by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission on July 13, 2007. Dariye served as Plateau State Governor from 1999 to 2007. Pan-Igbo social cultural group Ohanaeze Ndigbo has faulted the non-inclusion of Prof. Humphrey Nwosu, chairman of the now-defunct National Electoral Commission, on the 12th of June honorees list by federal government. Nwosu has organised and superintended over that watershed election and had released the results from 14 states before the military government annulled the election. Although Professor Nwosu had earlier announced that he would not be able to attend Tuesday's investiture ceremony, which held in Abuja, Ohanaeze has said in a statement by its spokesman, Chuks Mbegbu, stated that the group is upset at the exclusion of the person who conducted the election, which has been adjudged to be the freest and fairest in the country. While describing the exclusion as a grievous omission that needs to be urgently corrected, Mbegbu emphasized that restructuring the country and the implementation of most of the resolutions of the 2014 National Confab report is the solution to the nation's problems. In a related development, the group also called for the immediate creation of an additional state and local governments in the southeast to address the prolonged structural marginalization of the zone. The federal government has declared Friday, June 15th and Monday, June 18th as public holidays to celebrate the 2018 Eid al-Fitr. Lieutenant General Abdulrahman Dambazao, Minister of the Interior, made this declaration on Monday in a statement by the Permanent Secretary. Dr. Umar, the minister, congratulated the Muslim faithful on successfully participating in the Ramadan so far, asking all Nigerians to use the opportunity of the celebration to pray for peace, unity, prosperity and stability of the nation. The statement further urged Nigerians to support the government of President Muhammadu Buhari in taking the country to greater heights. And on the foreign scene, in what is said to be the most historical meeting in modern-day history, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and President Donald Trump of the United States began their talks to launch the process of nuclear disarmament of North Korea, whilst the US pledged to provide better security resources for its old foe, although the steps that will be taken to achieve these goals are yet to be clear. Trump stated that he expected the denuclearization process to start very, very quickly. The American president has hinted that this seems to have been appreciable trust in the young North Korean leader. Also pledged to end the current war games. For now, the summit seems to have brought about symbolic results and nothing of significant change yet. In the statement released at the end of the meeting, both countries agreed to recover the remains of prisoners of war and repatriate them. After a handshake, they were seen smiling and exchanging greetings. Trump mentioned on Saturday that he would be able to almost immediately after meeting Jong-un whether he would reach a deal with the US government. The 629 migrants stranded off Malta are now to be helped by 2 Italian ships to the port of Valencia in Spain, even as French President Emmanuel Macron scolded the Italian government for what he described as cynicism and irresponsibility for refusing to allow the stranded rescue ship dock in Italy. A charity looking after the rescued migrant, SOS Mediterranea, and Spanish officials both confirm that the rescue ship Aquarius will be assisted by an Italian Coast Guard ship and a warship. The journey is expected to last at least 3 days, and Mr. Macron, in a statement by his spokesman, Benjamin Griveaux, says is a case of Italy playing with politics. The Aquarius holding their migrants rescued from inflatable boats off the coast of Libya at the weekend had caused a row between Italy and Malta, with both refusing to receive the ship at their docks. The Trenton, a US Navy vessel, reached out to alert the closest ship, German charity Sea-Watch, which then rescued 41 people from a rubber boat that was sinking and recovered 12 bodies. The spokesman of the humanitarian group, Ruben Negeboal, said that the charity Sea-Watch ship is the only rescue ship that patrols the Libyan coast. He mentioned that this is still unknown how many people were on the boats before boarding, and the Sea-Watch ship was en route to meet with the Trenton. There has been no comment from the US Navy. 3 carriages of a Paris suburban RER train overturned as a result of a land shift caused by heavy rains, leaving 7 people with slight injuries. This occurred between the suburbs of Saint-Remy-le-Chevreau and Orsay on Tuesday. France's Minister of Transportation, Elisabeth Borne, confirmed the accident. Spokesman for the Paris transport operator stated that an embankment collapsed just before 5 a.m. as a result of the rain, causing the carriages to derail and tip over. Several departments are on orange alerts for rains and flooding. This is in response to different mishaps across France over the past few days. 10 people have been reported dead after a boat collided with a tugboat during a river cruise in the Russian city of Volgograd. Volgograd also happens to be the same city which is hosting the upcoming World Cup. There were a total of 16 people on board the boat and have all been identified as Russian citizens. 1 person is still missing, whilst 5 have been rescued, and 3 other survivors are still in hospital. An inquiry has been ordered to determine how the collision occurred. Police spokesman Charles Owino has on Tuesday assured Kenyans that more security agents have been deployed in Witu Mpeketoni and other places in Lamu County, where there are fears of a possible attack following reports of attackers spotted in the Boni forest. Owino assured that the preparations for the Eid al-Fitr holidays, the deployment of officers has increased in the Boni area, particularly between the areas of Witu and Mpeketoni in the Lamu County. The police spokesman informed that police are aware that some terrorists under the command of Malim Ayman and Mohammed Bilal are moving towards the Boni dense forest, as well as increasing sightings of terrorist elements in Tana Delta and northeastern. Owino charged residents of the area to be vigilant, remain on high alert and report any suspicious moves around the community. In his words, more personnel have been dispatched to comb the forest and flush out militants. And in business, with the perceived importance of the new meter asset provider regulations, the federal government is offering a grant of 37 billion naira to private sector operators to supply meters to interested distribution companies. Babatunde Fashola, Minister of Power, Works and Housing, revealed this at the 28th monthly meeting of power stakeholders in Kaduna. The minister did not mention the name of the private company, but went on to say that the federal government provided the fund to meet metering demands as the need for power generation, transmission and distribution in the country increases. According to him, as supply goes up, there were more bills to be paid, and metering is the best way to bill customers accurately and build trust between the discos and customers as it eliminates the use of estimated billing system. He further urged discos to take advantage of the incentive or make their own funding arrangement to facilitate the supply and installation of meters. And still on the power sector, Mr. Usman Gur Mohammed, CEO of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, confirmed that the company raised $1.57 billion to facilitate the construction of transmission lines and substations countrywide. He says this will help to stabilize the national grid of the total amount raised. The World Bank provided $408 million to increase the transmission capacity through brownfield projects. Mohammed added that the TCN has over 90 active projects, one of which is the Abuja Wheeling Scheme, which would require $170 million. The TCN boss argued that there is nothing wrong with the arrangement, following concerns raised about government ownership of the TCN, adding that power grids of India and Brazil are also owned by the government. Mr. Kola Adesina, chairman of Sahara Power, spoke against the eligible customer regime proposed by the federal government, saying it will weaken the financial capacity of the discos. He said that the residential customers who fall into the category of consumers who are not financially stable enough to pay their bills accounts for over 60% of power consumption. According to Reuters, Nigeria's oil exports are expected to fall in July to 1.43 million barrels per day, shown in loading plans revealed on Monday. This will make it the lowest level so far this year. The export plan for the next month came to 48 cargoes compared to 60 cargoes, which is partly due to an outage on the Bonny Light stream and a daily rate of 1.796 million barrels per day in June. July's export plan included 4 cargoes of Akpo condensate of 123,000 barrels per day compared to the same 4 cargoes in June, with 133,000 barrels per day. A number of smaller streams showed no cargoes would load in July. Nigerian oil export plans are prone to revisions and delays, with cargoes frequently pushed from one month to the next. That's the news at this hour. I'm Lakwe Banjo. Do have a great evening.